Folks, the Republican establishment is in a full-blown panic. And I'm not doing an I told you so. This is a giant I told you so. This is a reminder that I will illustrate. I told you this almost in the exact words you heard on television from Republican consultants and establishment people. I told you this was their fear back on November 10th of last year. They are in an uproar, a panic. They are secretly trying to get Mitch Daniels to get back in the race. There are entreaties being made to Bobby Jindal to get in the race. They are panicked. They are scared to death. They're going to lose the House and not win the Senate. And I told you on November 10th, that's their primary concern. That's why they were apoplectic at Christine O'Donnell and Sharon Angle getting Tea Party nominations. It's about the Senate. It's about being in charge of the money. It's not about cutting spending. The Republican establishment is not signed on to the cutting spending business. And I mean, if you want to know what the establishment is, you can easily, people ask, well, what do you mean? Who is this Republican establishment? They're Republicans, two things. They don't like conservatives, and they're not really all that concerned about spending. They want to be in charge of it. That's who they are. And they are not going to be in charge of it if they don't hold the House and if they don't pick up the Senate. And that's what they really want. They're not and never have been convinced that Obama can be beat. Now, Newt has thrown this thing into a tizzy. They don't know what to do. They wanted this wrapped up. They don't understand why it happened. They're blaming all the wrong people. They're blaming their own voters. They're blaming the media. They're blaming stupidity on the part of the voters. They haven't the slightest idea why this happened in South Carolina. That's not too much democracy going on in their minds. They just don't understand it. They don't understand the base of their own party. They resent the base of their own. They don't understand the passion. How many times I was telling Snerdley this morning, because he came in here and gave me his theory, which I promptly shot down. His theory is that we all owe ABC this, because if it were ABC and John King asking the questions, Newt would have never been. And to a certain extent, that's true. But why? Why did those questions tee Newt up? And why did Newt know what to do with them? Very simple. I've been doing this show for 23 years. And one of my themes from the beginning, from 1988, has been that the American conservative middle class are the ones playing by the rules. They are the ones that obey the law to the best of their ability. They raise their kids. They try to hide or shield their kids from cultural rotten depravity. They try to keep them off drugs. They try to get them into college. They follow as best they can all the rules, and they're laughed at and they're made fun of and they are impugned everywhere they look. They go to the movies, they're mocked and made fun of. They turn on the radio, listen to music, they're laughed at, mocked, and made fun of. They turn on television and watch an average television show, they're laughed at, mocked, and made fun of. They open a newspaper, same thing. And they've had it. And they've been dealing with this for over 20 years, and nobody's fought back for them. Not one person ever has fought back for them. The last time somebody actually spoke up in this large a forum, a presidential forum, would have to be Reagan, and Reagan did it not by so much what he said, although he had his moments. He did it by winning. He did it by skunking these people. Since then, the Republican leadership has not seemed focused so much on winning, and they sit there and they take it whenever their own voters are insulted. When their own voters are laughed at and impugned and called racist, sexist, bigots, homophobes, the Republicans don't defend them nor themselves because they're scared to death the independents are going to be upset or the media is going to be upset. So the base of the Republican Party, the voters, has been bottling up for 25 years a resentment, an anger, if you will, that their own party won't fight for them, won't fight for itself, won't fight for what's right. So when Newt gets teed up with these questions from Juan Williams and John King and whoever else and simply says what they've been thinking for 25 years, they say, finally, what they want right now is fight back. What they want is push back. What they want is kick back. What they want is smackdown. What they want is for these people who've been laughing at them and mocking them and impugning them put in their place. They're tired of the cultural rot taking place in the country. They're tired of the incessant growth of government and spending. They're tired of it. And they're frustrated as they can be that members of their own party who get elected can't seem to articulate their own passions. And politics is about passion, and the Republican Party doesn't seem to have it. There's always fear of somebody, the media, fear at Democrats. Well, Newt doesn't act like he's got any fear. So how many wives he got? I don't care. What did he do for Fannie Mae and Freddie? I don't care. What are his national disapproval ratings? I don't care. Finally, somebody's telling the bad guys who they are, what to do, and that we're not going to take it anymore. Or that we don't want to take it anymore. Now, you can sit there and you can say that that's cockeyed, that elections aren't won that way. They aren't? Who just won? Who's already leading in the polls in Florida? George Will had a fascinating statistic over the weekend. Mitt Romney, Mr. Electability, according to the Republican base, Mr. the only guy that can give us the Senate, is 9-16 in his election career. He's won 9 and lost 16. He's 9 out of 25. That, they tell us, is Mr. Electability. And they're sitting around, the base is, and they're saying, we don't care about this traditional stuff that you care about that's kept you in second place all these years.